Hi, tonight we're pleased to have Gary Guzman with Fourblock joining us. He's going to give us a presentation of what his organization brings to veterans. And they are a nationwide program and they're ramping up quickly in Minnesota. So there's quite a bit to say and quite a bit that'll be relevant to our folks in Minnesota as well as around the country. So Gary, please take it away.
Thanks, Renee. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me the opportunity to share information tonight. I guess this first slide, you can see there's a number of kind of accolades, I guess, if you will, down on the bottom of the screen. But bottom line, Fourblock, 15 years ago or so, our founder and president, Mike Abrams, was inspired by a conversation that he had had with a Iwo Jima survivor, World War II veteran, had basically said finding meaningful employment changed the trajectory of his life. And so that really inspired Fourblock. And so the name comes from a Marine warfighting strategy that was used in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was called the 3-block war for, for the Marines out there. But it's basically where, we have three difficult types of challenges, that being combat, peacekeeping, and humanitarian aid. And so Fourblock comes from, us having an understanding and belief that there is a fourth challenge, and that challenge is a transition back to civilian life and back to normalcy as much as you can. So hence the name. We get that question quite a bit, and it was an inspiration to hear, kind of the backstory to that. But again, an accredited charity through Better Business Bureau, and then everything else, including a platinum level transparency seal from Candid, puts us at 0.1% of national charities in terms of transparency, recognized as a great nonprofit by great nonprofits, and then also a recognized best companies group in Color Magazine as an inclusive workspace, and a recognized charity of Combined Federal Campaign. So very, very proud of those things in the 15 years, or close to 15 years that we've been in business, and really excited to be able to share some information tonight. So just really quick, some items I'll cover tonight. Just a quick intro, talk about what we do and why. Talk about our program, what our alumni and what participants look like, and in terms of like demographics and service and everything else, and then talk about some additional programming and resources that we have, how we love to partner with other nonprofits and organizations in different parts of the country, and then of course we'll give some information on how to apply, and then leave some time for some Q&A. There are a number of slides. I'll try and get through them as quickly as I can. But myself, Gary Guzman, I'm the Fourblock Regional Director over our virtual programs, 23-year Air Force veteran. I'm a Fourblock alumnus. I went through the program in the fall of 2017 before retiring in 2018. I was a healthcare administrator, 12 years of healthcare IT, and then, running the back end, business side of hospitals and clinics in the later part of my career, but thought that healthcare was going to be my thing until I participated in this great program, had my aperture opened up, my career aperture opened up, and was able to visit the campuses of Microsoft and Amazon and PricewaterhouseCooper and T-Mobile, and even a vodka distillery where we got to meet a veteran entrepreneur to learn about entrepreneurship, which was amazing. But Fourblock really just opened my eyes to opportunity, and that led to me taking on a SkillBridge fellowship through Hiring Our Heroes into corporate recruiting, having never recruited ever. But 5 years later was leading military recruiting for Amazon Web Services. Unfortunately, was part of layoffs that happened last year. But in that time, my 5 years at Amazon, I was still giving back through Fourblock as a coach, as a career readiness instructor. I helped to launch our in-person San Antonio cohort. And so really, attuned to what we were doing. After being laid off, had to apply what I learned through the program, the life skills that I learned through the program, and was asked to come on full time as a regional director. I'm also a Navy dad. My daughter, she's a 2019 Naval Academy graduate. She's active duty Navy, serving in San Diego. Was just approved for her. She's going into her 5th year, so she just got approved for her shore duty, and she's looking forward to being on shore. She's gone through a number of deployments in her short time, but I know at one point she's going to be separating from the service, And so everything that we do, everything that you all do on this call, is beneficial to what she's going to need when she gets out. And so that's a part of my purpose and what I enjoy doing and helping the veteran community. So about us, our mission is to prepare veterans, including active duty service members, transitioning service members, uh, those that are already, veterans, transitioned out of the service already, and then spouses to successfully transition to purposeful, meaningful, value-driven careers, right? And our vision is for all veterans and military spouses to continue lives of significance after leaving active duty service, right? So if you consider why Fourblock at any given time, our program, and I'll get into the program and the curriculum, but our program really just enables, regardless of whether you take our program or not, it enables participants and our alumni learn valuable life skills, things needed in order to find the meaningful employment, right? So everything from being able to tell your story, provide an elevator pitch in any given scenario, regardless of whether it's a formal or informal type of situation, all the way through to negotiating contracts and salaries and those different types of things, and everything you can think of in between. But we do it in a very programmatic fashion through curriculum built out of designed out of Columbia University, and then you're able to meet employer partners along the way. So a little bit about us, right? So our career readiness program it not only teaches those key foundational skills that are needed, again, regardless of whether you take our program or not, but more importantly and most important is we help you develop a relationship-based career strategy, right? So we connect you with companies, employer partners, who bring veteran allies, recruiters, hiring managers, and leadership teams to, a weekly session. And we integrate online and independent learning with face-to-face, either in-person or virtual face-to-face sessions for active engagement. And, we include instructors, coaches who represent, 500 plus companies throughout the United States that have hired our alumni, and then employer representatives at each of these sessions. And so the career readiness program itself, it's an 11-week program, typically asking for anywhere between 3 to 5 hours a week of commitment. At a minimum, those 2 hours of that 3 to 5 hours is going to be in session. So either in person or virtually. You'll meet anywhere between 9 to 10 different companies, depending on the location and the format. We have individual coaching, and then there's a strong focus on self-reflection. So you can use the opportunity for exploration, which is phenomenal. And then it's all offered at zero cost to the participants who are helping. But we are able to keep our lights on through grants and through funding and partnerships with our employer companies who are very eager to share information about their companies, and at the same time share information about initiatives that they're having, their culture at their respective companies, and then opportunities, of course, which could help them find uh, veterans who can bring value to their company. Students once a week, over the course of the semester, typically will go for in person, will go to the site of the employer. So we don't have any brick or mortar, building or office. You go to the site, students go to the site of the company. And if it's in a virtual, then we meet similar to how we're meeting tonight. We're with the employer partners. But each week, they're connected again with these new companies where they receive career advice. They meet hiring managers and discover new industries, practice career seeking technical skills. And then, of course, they start the process of building a network and that career strategy that I had mentioned. One of the great things about this is the fact that each week you are meeting a different company, and we have a wide range of diversity within the community of employer partners. But at the same time, the discussion and the conversations that you're having with the employer partners that week is specifically tailored to the curriculum of the week, right? So week one, we talk about telling your story and having your elevator pitch, right? So that week, all the participants get to literally practice their elevator pitches. So they, if it's in person in small groups, or if it's via Zoom in breakout sessions, you're being able to practice your elevator pitch uh, to not just coaches and instructors, but the representatives that are with the companies as well. And then the other weeks following are developing the right relationships and networking, where we focus on the foundation of what we do, and that's building the right relationships. Triangulating career start point, which includes a fancy Venn diagram where you take personal professional values, you take your expertise and education and experience, as well as your geographical location, and kind of map those and put them all over, or put them over each other, and find that sweet spot in the middle for that triangulation process. And that's where we ask you to start, or it's a kind of best case scenario in terms of where you can start. From there, we cover LinkedIn. We literally have LinkedIn host any of the sessions that we're at. They'll be hosting us in Chicago at their site, and they typically will bring a representative as well, if unless the instructors choose to give their own instruction and guidance in reference to LinkedIn. Crafting your resume is the same thing, where a company will come in and share information on crafting resumes specific to their company, but also sharing the perspective of how it can differ in any industry or any company that you're talking to. After that, conducting a job market assessment and career mapping, which is basically being able to align what you want to do in a 2, 5, 10-year plan. Following that, interviewing successfully, where you'll get at least one mock interview, and then navigating the job offer process, and then succeeding in your first 90 days, which is pretty much just onboarding. And so all of those things encompass the curriculum. And again, all these things you'll be working on regardless. We say, to anywhere between 3 to 5 hours a week of time commitment, but that includes the 2 hours of session, plus stuff that, again, you'll be working on anyways during that week, or, as you prepare for employment and that job process. So if it's interview week, then you're practicing, your interviewing style, or your interviewing answers, and coming up with your star stories. If it's resume week, then you're working on your resume. So that time dedication really is focused on things that you will have to do again, regardless. Um, and so you come out of the program with particular outcomes, right? And so these are the 6 that we have identified, that every one of our students will come out of the program with. And that's an elevator pitch. That's being able to tell your story in a targeted and a scenario-based manner, where you're able to articulate your value that you can bring to a company. A targeted resume, we cover exactly how to do that. LinkedIn profiles, you have at least one mock interview, and then of course, a list of target companies which you can use to help as you develop your strategy for a relationship-based career search. And then we ask all of our students to attend at least 80% of the sessions, so not missing any more than two of those. And then at the end of the program, once students have met all of the criteria and expectations, they'll receive a certification from Credly. It's a credential that can be posted on LinkedIn, and so our employer partners know to find and seek out those folks that have those Credly badges, because so often we hear from the employers that that they can significantly tell the difference between those that have gone through the program and those that have not. And so it's something that that our employer partners look for. And then, of course, the impact of what you come out with, again, is a community of supportive industry professionals, the ability to communicate and articulate who you are and the value, again, that you bring in private sector relevance. You'll have a deeper understanding of corporate cultures because you're physically going to them on site or getting to meet them every week. And then again, you're establishing your strategies for building professional relationships, making sure that you're talking to the right people, not just kind of sandblasting out and trying to get in touch with as many people as you can. And then again, having intent behind what you're doing and doing it in a manner where you're supported the entire way by a coach, by an instructor, and by other people within your particular cohort. And so, ultimately you're expanding your network and developing meaningful relationships, which again is the foundation of what we do. You have the ability. What we say is like, if you're meeting with 9 to 10 different companies, and there's anywhere between 5 to 15 or sometimes 20 different coaches that are with different companies, and you're doing that over the course of 9 or 10 weeks, then you're meeting and have the opportunity to build anywhere between 70 to 120 different impactful, um, you know, softball kind of very easy, soft landing, soft handoff relationships, right? I mean, we set it up for the environment to be low threat and for you to be able to reach out to our employers and our employer partners and really just get to meet and learn from each of those employers and those employer representatives, right? So a lot of times you'll you get folks who just say this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and you don't always get the how you do it. One thing I love about the Eagle Group is you all teach us how to do that, which is fantastic. We take it a little bit further in what we do with our curriculum and everything else. Um, and so it's really just an ability to not just meet them through the engagement, but also through a platform that we have called Fourblock Connect, where similar to how you're taking an online class, you have access to the curriculum, you have access to the schedule and message boards and everything else. But our employers are on there as well, and they post jobs and everything else specific to to the locations and to the specific cohorts that they have interest in. So so you get access in that regard as well. All right, and I mentioned, maybe I didn't mention, we're in 20 different locations throughout the United States. So 8 virtual, and then it's 12 that are in person. So everything in the red is virtual, and then everything in blue is in person. And so this this spring, we launched Minneapolis virtual as well as Chicago. And we combined our Pacific Northwest and our Pacific Southwest to be our West Coast virtual. But for intent, of this information brief, Minneapolis is where we obviously are trying to gain as many enrolled students as possible. We're there and exactly where we need to be with our employer partners, even though we always try and expand, who we're meeting with and who we would love to have be able to showcase to and introduce students to. But our intent right now is to get as many students, veterans as possible into the program. So would love any opportunity to be able to share this information out to your communities, and then to anyone that you think that could use a hand with finding meaningful employment through a very specific relationship-based career strategies that we're able to teach them. And then just a quick snapshot of a handful of a little bit more than a handful, but a number of our employees that power, that help us keep the lights on again. PricewaterhouseCoopers is one of our primary contributors. Wells Fargo is our primary contributor who asked us specifically to go into Minneapolis, St. Paul area to offer this program. So so through them, we're able to provide this at no cost to our students. And so for participants, our alumni, as you can see, every branch of service, including the Space Force, we have I think about a dozen or so that are enrolled this cohort from the Space Force, but Guard, Reserve, and every branch of service we have had, and as well as E2 all the way to 06. They've all successfully completed the program. Again, more than about 4,500 or so since inception. And that's the beauty of it, is that you have somebody who might have been out, for 10 years going through at the same time, while someone who is 18 months out, from retirement or from separation going through at the same time. So really is a benefit that you do get that diversity in both branch of service and grade, and kind of timeline of where folks are at. Our alumni, so we started off, in New York almost 15 years ago with 5 people. It initially started off with a cohort of 5, and really it was to help out student veterans. So we have a strong focus on those that are degree seeking, if not degree holding. Right, but we understand that in this market, a number of companies are minimizing the need for degrees, not to minimize the importance of them, but minimizing the requirement, right? So even though 97% of our folks hold a college degree, with 35% bachelor's degree, 49% master's, and then over 4% having a JD or doctorate. We can support and will support, and we'll do everything that we can to help really any veteran that needs some help in finding meaningful employment. At the same time, 67% of our folks are active duty, 30% have a disclosed service-connected disability, 44% identify as a ethnic minority. Uh, all majors and career interests. There hasn't been anything that we've turn anyone away for. Despite that, we were able to use our program and our platform for a lot of exploration for people who are uncertain of what they want to do. And then 32% of our folks are actively in either part-time or full-time students. And then the 18%, kind of aligned with the rest of the nation, is at least their workforce is female veterans. Um, so what to consider before applying? Again, I mentioned, we at a minimum you got to attend the class, right? That's just kind of a given. So 2 hours, and having been to Minneapolis, St. Paul a few times now, traffic doesn't seem too bad, although I know that it can be bad. That's a piece of it, and you have to consider. I knew when I was separating, and I went through the program myself in Seattle, Washington. I lived 45 minutes away, out Joint Base Lewis McChord, and my longest commute was a little over 2 hours to get to Redmond, Washington, which was on the east side, and to go to Microsoft, right? But I knew that it was going to be worthwhile for me to do that, because it was just, for a short period of time. Again, knowing the significance that I could gain, and the value that I can gain out of going. So at a minimum, 2 hours a week. We ask 2 to 3 hours a week of self-study and preparation, but again, those are the things that you're doing anyways with your resumes and your LinkedIn profiles, and developing your stories, and just all those other things. So it's stuff you're going to have to do. Why not do it in a manner where you've got support? We ask you to complete, program surveys after each session, just so that we can get better. There's always, of course, you're representing yourself, so we ask you to dress the part. And then just have an understanding of who we are and what we bring in terms of core values, and those core values are acting with humility, working to build trust, and then pursuing excellence. Okay, so I mentioned the 20 different locations, highlighting here Minneapolis, going to be occurring on Thursday evenings from February the 22nd through May the 2nd. And it is starting off as virtual, so no worry about transportation, or traveling. But all of the employers that will be hosting have a presence within the Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota area. So a lot of great employers that we have lined up. If you have some interest in some of the other locations, then here's the first half, and then of course the second half. And again, the program begins the week of February the 19th, which is that Monday, and then finishing May the 2nd. So all of our classes occur from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., depending on the locality of the cohort. So even our global virtual cohort, which targets Central European time, it's from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, but that's 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in Europe, Central European time. All right, so how can folks apply, or when should they apply? So if you're active duty, then we recommend applying anytime, up to 18 months out from their separation, or prior to them wanting to seek out a skill bridge or an internship. For student veterans, we recommend applying either their sophomore or junior year so that they can align with the early career talent representatives that the companies bring for internships. And then for veterans looking for new opportunities anytime, but this also includes all of our Guard, all of our reservists, at any given time they can apply. We host 2 sessions per year, so between the spring and the fall. So our spring, as I'd mentioned, February through beginning of May, and then our fall term is from September through the end of November, early December, depending on how the holidays lie. So again, twice a year, 11 months. We are complementary to a lot of the different programs that are out there, right? Everyone has to go through TAPS. We've been told that we are like TAPS on steroids in terms of like the employment piece in what we bring and what we represent and what we teach. So with that, it just provides an opportunity for folks to be able to just gain a relationship-based career strategy. And then after application, so basically we ask you to go to a site, sign up for one of our informational calls, and then after the informational call, then we'll do a 15-minute screening call just to make sure that it's the right fit, making sure that you're in the right cohort. And then we just ask you to just elaborate on who you are and what you're looking for, and it's not a lot of folks get turned away. If anything, they may get turned away because of lack of space. Some of our cohorts do get filled pretty quickly, but the application process is pretty simple. We have 3 remaining informational sessions before the first of the year, and so we're trying to get in as many folks as we can prior to, or excuse me, the first of the month. We're trying to get in as many folks as we can to attend those, so that we can get the screening calls scheduled and then everything else. And then the application is really after viewing like this informational session, similar to today, then all of our attendees will receive the application link a day after, and then they'll apply accordingly. Eric Stetson is our director of student engagement, so he does most of the informational calls or informational screenings, and so that's why his name is up here. All right, and just real quickly, just some additional programming that we have. We do offer a military spouse career readiness program, which is a little bit different than our veteran program. It focuses a lot more on folks who have been out of the workforce for a period of time and making sure that everything is lined up prior to introducing them to our employer partners. We also have a Fourblock podcast, which a number of different folks. Simon Sinek is one of the folks that has been on there, and but some really good information. A lot of kind of thought-provoking types of interviews that really do share a lot of information from thought leaders as well as just industry leaders who have a lot of information and who have a lot of information to share within the transition space. And then we have a Find Your Calling free online course, which focuses a little bit more on who you are and how that fits into what you want to do. Simon Sinek is again another one of the quote unquote instructors that's on there through videos. It's all self-paced and online, but it's a phenomenal course that we ask all of our students to take prior to attending our Fourblock sessions. All right, just really quick, just a couple of testimonials. I'll let you all read this, but every session, every class, we provide an impact report to our host employers, and we take quotes that students have given from their surveys and share with those. And these are just a couple of them, but it truly is and can be a game changer in terms of like just seeing the difference in how folks present themselves and how they are able to navigate the process once they attend and once they go through our program. It is absolutely phenomenal. All right, and that is the last of the slides. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Thank you for the opportunity to share information about Fourblock. Yeah, thank you. I'll stop sharing there.
Thank you, Gary. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you back in Minneapolis again soon. It's pretty warm here, so, don't be afraid to come up.
Okay, so what's warm? I'm in San Antonio.
Right, I know. But thank you so much.
No,